Carthage was the unchallenged master of the sea. Their sleek, fast quinquiremes were like terrifying, untouchable pirates. Rome, on the other hand, had almost zero naval experience. They were soldiers, not sailors. Battle after battle, Roman ships sank. It looked absolutely hopeless. So, Rome decided to reverse engineer a captured Carthaginian ship. But that wasn't enough. Roman engineers invented the Corvus, nicknamed the Crow. The idea was simple: a massive wooden drawbridge with a heavy, deadly spike at the end. When an enemy ship got close, the Corvus would slam down, the spike digging deep into the deck. Suddenly, naval battles weren't about speed or sailing skill. They became brutal, bloody land fights, where the Roman infantry excelled. This trick gave Rome its first major naval win at the Battle of Mylae. But here's the scandalous twist. Those heavy Corvus devices made the ships desperately unstable in rough weather. Entire fleets were sunk, not by the enemy, but by their own secret weapon. A genius tactical move that turned into a deadly gamble. When the Second Punic War erupted, Rome thought it had Hannibal figured out. They fortified their coasts, expecting Carthage to launch an invasion by sea. But Hannibal wasn't playing by the rules. He had sworn an oath of eternal hatred against Rome, and he planned to make good on it in the most shocking way possible. Instead of ships, Hannibal marched his army over the Alps in winter. Picture this: tens of thousands of men, cavalry, and yes, even war elephants dragging themselves through snow, avalanches, and hostile tribes. Everyone thought it was impossible. That was exactly why Hannibal did it. He wanted Rome stunned before the battle even began. The march killed a huge part of his army, but what survived was stronger, meaner, and terrifying. Hannibal didn't just arrive in Italy with soldiers. He arrived with living proof that Rome's defenses meant nothing. His message was clear: I can reach you anywhere, anytime. Imagine the panic in the Roman heartland when farmers looked up and saw elephants walking across their fields. It wasn't just war, it was psychological shock therapy. After Hannibal crushed Rome at Cannae, killing tens of thousands in a single day, the city was paralyzed with fear. Most generals would have rushed into another showdown, desperate to save face. But Quintus Fabius Maximus, nicknamed the Delayer, thought differently. His tactic? Refuse to fight. Instead, Fabius shadowed Hannibal like an annoying shadow you can't get rid of. His troops attacked foraging parties, burned supplies, and cut off reinforcements. Every time Hannibal tried to provoke a big battle, Fabius pulled back. The people of Rome mocked him, saying he was a coward. Senators cursed his name. Even his allies thought he had lost his nerve. But here's the twist: they were wrong. Fabius wasn't weak, he was patient. He knew Rome couldn't afford another massacre like Cannae. By dragging things out, he slowly drained Hannibal's strength. The strategy was humiliating to Rome's pride, but brilliant in practice. Over time, it bought Rome exactly what it needed: time to rebuild, recruit, and turn the tide of war. Years later, Rome finally produced a general bold enough to face Hannibal head-on: Scipio Africanus. But here's the catch: Scipio had studied Hannibal's tricks and was ready to use them against him. At the Battle of Zama, the showdown felt like teacher versus student. Hannibal unleashed his war elephants, hoping to terrify the Romans. But Scipio had prepared. He ordered his men to form open corridors. When the elephants charged, Roman trumpeters blasted deafening sounds. The beasts panicked, ran through the gaps, and caused more damage to Hannibal's own army than to Rome. But Scipio's real masterstroke was the cavalry. By securing an alliance with King Massinissa of Numidia, Scipio now commanded the lightning-fast horsemen who once fought for Carthage. During the battle, they crushed Hannibal's cavalry, vanished from the field, and then, like a thunderclap, returned to strike Hannibal's rear. It was the exact same maneuver Hannibal had used to annihilate Rome at Cannae. This time, the tables had turned. Scipio proved that Rome could learn from its humiliations, and in the process, he brought down the greatest military mind of his era. You won't believe how far Rome's grudge went. Even after defeating Hannibal, decades later, Rome couldn't let Carthage live. The Carthaginians were weak, reduced to a trading city, but Rome's paranoia ran deep. Senator Cato the Elder ended every speech, no matter the topic, with the same chilling line: Carthage must be destroyed. Eventually, Rome acted. The Third Punic War wasn't a battle of tactics, it was a campaign of extermination. For 3 long years, Rome besieged the city, hammering at its walls while Carthage desperately resisted. What followed was brutal. When Rome finally broke through, they slaughtered or enslaved the entire population. The once great city was burned to the ground. It wasn't just war, it was erasure. Rome wanted to send a message not just to Carthage, but to the entire world. No rival, no matter how weak, would be tolerated. This wasn't about strategy anymore. It was about making fear itself a weapon. Hannibal wasn't just a master of battlefield tactics. He was a master of lies, traps, and illusions. At Lake Trasimene, he lured a Roman army into a narrow valley shrouded in morning fog. Romans thought they were chasing an easy target. Instead, Hannibal's hidden troops descended from the hills and crushed them in one of the largest ambushes in history. He didn't stop there. Hannibal's men often disguised themselves in stolen Roman armor, turning battlefields into chaotic whirlwinds of confusion. Soldiers didn't know if the man beside them was an ally or a disguised enemy. Imagine the fear, that moment of hesitation when friend and foe looked exactly alike. He also relied on a network of spies and local guides to feed him intel and lead his enemies into carefully prepared traps. Hannibal proved that you didn't always need more men to win. You just needed to think faster, deceive better, and strike when your opponent least expected it. If you want to know the secret weapon of the Punic Wars, look no further than the Numidian cavalry. These riders were unlike anything Rome or Carthage had ever seen. Lightly armed, with no heavy armor weighing them down, they darted across the battlefield like ghosts. Their strategy wasn't to smash through the enemy. It was to harass, confuse, and chase down anyone who ran. At first, Carthage had them on their side, and Hannibal used them brilliantly to dominate Roman flanks. But then came the betrayal that changed everything. King Massinissa switched allegiance to Rome, bringing his cavalry with him. This move turned the tide of war. At Zama, it was these same Numidian riders who shattered Hannibal's cavalry and sealed Carthage's fate. It's almost scandalous when you think about it. The very force that had once given Hannibal victory became the tool that ensured his final defeat. Hannibal may have been a tactical genius, but he couldn't fight Rome's most boring yet unbeatable weapon: logistics. Hannibal lived off the land, stretching his supply lines across hostile territory. Rome, meanwhile, was building a war machine that never ran out of fuel. Their system was cold, efficient, and relentless. Networks of roads kept armies moving. Fortified camps gave them safety each night. And perhaps most shockingly, Rome could replace entire armies after devastating losses. At Cannae, they lost tens of thousands, but within months, fresh legions were marching again. This was Rome's true secret weapon. They didn't have to win every battle. They just had to outlast everyone else. In the end, Hannibal wasn't beaten by a single general. He was beaten by an entire system built to grind opponents into dust. The Punic Wars didn't just shape battles, they revolutionized sieges. The Greek city of Syracuse in Sicily became the stage for one of the strangest and most tragic chapters. Defending the city was none other than Archimedes, the legendary inventor, and his machines were the stuff of nightmares. Roman ships were yanked from the sea by giant mechanical claws. Catapults hurled massive stones, crushing men and ships alike. Some accounts even claimed Archimedes used mirrors to set ships on fire, though that's still debated. Regardless, his ingenuity kept Syracuse safe for nearly 2 years. But here's the scandal. Despite Archimedes' brilliance, politics and persistence won the day. Roman general Marcellus eventually exploited a weakness in the defenses and stormed the city. Syracuse fell, and Archimedes, Rome's most valuable potential prize, was killed, despite orders to spare him. The fall of Syracuse was a harsh lesson. Rome wasn't just strong, they were relentless. No matter how many times they were pushed back, they always came back, until the walls finally crumbled. The Punic Wars weren't just about who won or lost. They were about how warfare itself evolved. Rome and Carthage pushed each other to new extremes. Rome turned naval battles into land battles with the Corvus. Hannibal rewrote the art of surprise with his Alpine crossing. The Fabian Strategy invented patience as a weapon. Scipio perfected combined arms at Zama. Carthage's destruction revealed the terrifying power of total war. Hannibal's deceptions showed how brains could humiliate brawn. The Numidian cavalry proved speed could kill. Rome's logistical system demonstrated that wars are won as much by roads as by swords. And the fall of Syracuse proved that even the greatest genius could be crushed by persistence. Each tactic left scars, lessons, and innovations that rippled far beyond their time. These weren't just wars, they were experiments in survival, and every move shaped the future of empires. The Punic Wars were a crucible of military innovation. They forced empires to adapt, to innovate, and to fight with a ruthlessness that changed warfare forever. From the naval game-changer of the Corvus to the tactical genius of Hannibal at Cannae, and the relentless logistical machine of Rome, these wars forged the tactics that would define centuries of military history. The grudge match was over, but the world would never be the same. What do you think is the most influential tactic to come out of the Punic Wars? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more History Explained.